Hey, welcome back to another episode of Your Faith and Health Community. I'm your host, Pastor Jackie Jackson, and as always, on behalf of myself and the producer, Anita Alexander, we want to thank you very much for tuning in. You could do anything with your day, but you've taken out time to spend with us, and we really appreciate it. We hope, as always, that we bring you something that will help you, that will improve your quality of life, or just some information. You know, it's a scripture that says, "My people perish for lack of information." So we want to make sure that you, as well as ourselves, have as much information as we can to make our day go. On our last episode, if you remember, we were visiting with Pastor Isaac Dudley Jr., who is the pastor of All-in-One Ministry Center, Ministry Worship Center, out on Harrison Avenue, and he's also in Cheviot out on Harrison Avenue. Yeah, I'm really messing this up, aren't I? I know. It's hard being 26 years old. My mind just doesn't work the way it did when I was 25. But he is the senior pastor of All-in-One Ministry Worship Center in Cheviot, Ohio, on Harrison Avenue. But he is also the CEO of Morning Dove Records, or Morning Dove Recordings. And if you remember, that's where we left off. So I want to pick back up where we left off. Pastor Dudley, again, thank you very much for taking time to come out and talk with us. We left off, you were telling us who all was on the program, the artist. So now let's go a little bit more in depth. I know you mentioned that the record company, I guess it has two sides. It's the side that's, I guess, more the gospel inspirational side.
Right.
But then there's also that side for Christian adults.
Exactly.
So that when you're not in worship, so to speak, but you're just with Mr. or Mrs. whoever, that you have some music, that if you want to sit down and have a nice dinner, you just want to sit back and make Google eyes at each other.
Clean.
Well, it's Christian. That's why I said Christian adult music.
Yeah.
So there's no confusion. You know,
Exactly.
it's not explicit lyrics, and it's not talking about something crazy. But it does give a chance for a Christian couple to be able to sit back, have a nice romantic evening, maybe get up and dance with each other, and a chance to just to steal from the Isley Brothers, just to groove with the person you love.
Yeah, that's a nice way to put that. I mean, just to sit and share that intimate moment there,
Right.
you know, just to chill and some things may have a sound of some familiar or similar artists or something along that line, but it's strictly for the person that you're with, you know, it's strictly set for that. And we're excited about, like I said, Reverend Dennis Cook is the person that actually orchestrates that. We're blessed to be able to run the gospel division where the Lord birthed that through us to be able to do that. And like I said, we're very excited about it. We're excited where the vision is God's opened up and where it's taken us and where it's going to lead us to. And the main thing is to get that word out to someone, you know. I'm so blessed to have great artists that we have, you know, that are with us, and we're always open looking for new also, you know. But we have a gospel rapper also, I failed to mention, go by the name of God's Best Friend. He's been with us. Matter of fact, he was with another company and he came over to us, and we're excited about having him with us. Me, myself, I don't claim to know a lot about the rap division, but we were still glad to have him with us though. And we embraced him and welcomed him, and he seemed to be excited about being there with us, and so we're gonna see how it goes. Main thing right now is to get this project out, to be heard, get it out to the airwaves, and I guess as the scripture said, by any means possible to get the word out, you know. So that's what we're doing, is getting that particular word out through message and song, rhythm and praise, contemporary, you know, Southern traditional gospel. That's what we want. That's what our desire is.
All right, so let me ask you this: as far as Morning Dove Records is concerned, what is the vision or the goal? The vision. What is the vision for this record label? Because I mean, you know, there are tons of labels. People are coming up with labels. Some just for hopefully to get rich. Some have an actual. Well, I guess they all have a purpose. But what is your mission for the label? And knowing you as long as I have, I don't believe you just have a label just to be able to say, I have a label. So I know you have a mission. So share with us that mission.
Well, let's put it like this. If I could put it in the best words I can, I guess maybe about 11 years ago, I was at a church service revival, and I was just in the service. Just me and my wife just went to the service just for inspirational to be poured into, and a lady came, and at this time I wasn't involved in music no longer. I was with my group, and I don't know if you remember the Anointed Sons of God. We founded that group, and I think I was with them for like about 6 or 7 years, but I had kept telling them there was going to come a time in my life that I had to go and pursue the higher calling, which was my ministry and the pastoralship. So I eventually left that realm of ministry work, singing, and kind of more so followed the path that God was taking me on for as the ministry. Make a long story short, we ended up establishing the record company. But a person was a prophet had prophesied to me, said, "You sitting right there, and I started looking around, and said, you're gonna have a blessed record company, and you're gonna have one of the biggest companies in ABC, and I'm okay, but the prophetic word resonated in me so deep, and I was, because there was a portion of me like objecting this, because I really don't want to be bothered with this. I'm done with music. I want to really just focus on preaching, and so it didn't happen at that moment. I think like maybe 5-6 years went by before this even came into to view, and what God wanted to do was to take this music and to reach those that can't be reached through this word, through song, and make a, that's why it just didn't stay in one area, contemporary or tradition or message, but he kind of spreaded it out so we can get a message and write to everybody, kind of like Paul did, to the different churches. So we get a chance to write to different bodies and people that stand in need of an inspirational word to help them draw a closer relationship with God and a closer walk with Him. And that's pretty what the mission is about. But at the same time, there's other divisions other than just that. We have a program called, as I said, that you were a guest on, Interscope 7, where we want to feature the artist on there, but we also are writing skits and inspirational plays and things to display on that television program that you were on also. So we're trying to reach other avenues and other venues, because we have another program at our church called Men of Integrity, which that's been strong for about 8 years now. We've had different prize fighters come to a Men of Integrity meeting. We've been to different places, bowling, basketball. These are different events that Men of Integrity sponsored through our church, and that's a church organization. So all this kind of goes in one hand
Into the into
the church,
the label in the church.
Yeah.
So they're definitely interwoven.
Right.
Though two separate entities.
Right.
Still definitely apart. You mentioned, I want to mention Sion Taylor, because obviously Alice and Mrs. Hammonds.
Yeah.
They may as well be my family.
Right.
You know,
right.
going
right.
back. We go back.
Those are my family too.
Well, that is,
my mother-in-law and brother-in-law.
Right, your mother-in-law.
Yeah.
But I mean, as far as Mrs. Hammond, she's had a hand and
great person.
Look after. When we were teenagers, when I was a teenager, look, I've gone everywhere from knowing Mrs. Hammond since an adult to her having her hand on my kids to her putting her hands on me.
Yeah.
So we all know Mama Hammond.
Yeah.
And one thing I always think about her, when my mom passed 5 years ago, back in July, and at the homegoing service, which I preached her service, which was probably the hardest.
I'm sure.
Probably wasn't the smartest thing to do, but I still wanted to do that. But my mom had always told me, she said, when I pass, I want you to sing Amazing Grace Will Always Be.
Okay.
And so to honor her, I attempted to sing. Now, that's a song that is my favorite song of praise. That's the song that if I'm only going to do one song, 9 out of 10 times, it's going to be that. But in trying to do the song for my mom's service, I got halfway through, and there was just no way for me to finish. And out of nowhere, here come Mama Hammonds, and she just took it, and God just blessed. And we know she's anointed. We know she's
Oh
an
yeah,
anointed
definitely,
singer.
definitely.
But she just took the
definitely.
song and I believe in my heart that even though I wasn't able to finish, which was my mom's request, and she knew my mom well, I
Mm-hmm.
believe that still gave my mom all the honor of that. I
Yeah.
couldn't do it. She stepped in, and I couldn't have done it like her anyway.
Right, right,
And
right.
it was just,
Right.
it was just phenomenal.
Right.
And so, and with Alice, obviously, we're going back to junior high,
Yeah.
and a little bit older than him, but Gail, when I
Yeah.
was in school, Gail
Right.
and I, we used to sing together in Miss Richardson's music class.
Okay,
But
okay.
you mentioned Sion, and Sion Teller is a cat that I remember from back in the day that we developed a very nice
Yeah,
relationship.
we go way back, me and him. A lot of years. I won't I won't get naming no numbers, but we go back about like a little bit beyond me and you. You know how far we go back.
Oh wow, yeah.
So yeah, so we go back way back, and we had a group together. Matter of fact, we toured, sung. We went to New York, Chicago. We
I'm
traveled.
learning something.
We done some things. And I think you remember the group called Compassion.
Yeah.
And so we done some things back in the '90s and early 2000s, and so we developed he and I developed a great friendship over the years. We wrote songs together, and our kids grew up together. So we grew a close friendship. And when we had brought him into the label and did some songs on him, some inspirational contemporary things on him, because he said he pretty much just wants to do strictly gospel now. That's where his heart and love is. So we wrote some things on him, and hopefully in the future we'll have him back. You'll have us back here, and we'll be able to share some of the songs and material
Definitely
that we
gotta
did.
do that.
But also now he had asked us about it, and we knew he had the experience. He had talked to Reverend Cook and myself, and he's now over our A&R department.
Okay.
He handles that for us, and we know that he knows the business, and it was a good match.
Yeah, that definitely is. I know a few years ago, and I don't know, it may have been 2 or 3 years ago, Sion and I met he reached out and we talked, and we hadn't talked for a long time. And so we met to have lunch and sit down and lunch. He mentioned that, I want to just go gospel, which is what you said.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
I just want to go gospel. I've done the clubs, I've done the tours, I've done all this stuff. And he's like, now I feel it's time for me to give that to God. So
Yeah.
that's really good to know that
Yeah.
that is what he actually did, because he seemed really sincere that day when
Oh,
we were
and
having
he is
lunch.
very- he
And
is
so
very.
It's good to see that,
is very.
that God gave him the gift, and he's saying, now it's time for me to give it back to God. And I think that part is really awesome.
Well, anybody, excuse my saying, if anyone would know, you would, because you were writing, doing, and booking shows and stuff for him back in I think it was the '90s. You were doing some work with him.
Yeah, we knew it. Yeah,
You
it goes back to
yeah.
wow. It does go back to the
Yeah,
90s.
I
I
remember.
think I was about 13 in the 90s or something like that.
I'm not getting no numbers again. You ain't getting me caught up in that
Yeah,
game.
I
but
tried.
You by yourself on that one.
But yeah,
but
that's pretty good.
I remember coming to your house one night and we talked, and you were sharing some things that you had some good project things going on, which was good, And he's always been a working artist, and like I said, we're proud to have him working with us, and it's a good working relationship.
Well, we've been, like I said, between you and I, and even with him, I know back then we did some stuff together, and we were going to do some stuff. I don't want to make it sound like I was hooking him up and I had that, but we definitely had that relationship, and definitely a great respect for each other.
Yeah.
Vocally. I always think he always kind of reminded me of Al B. Sure, just a much better singer.
Okay.
I'm
Hey.
just saying, just
Hey.
a much better singer than I'll be sure. But he always reminded me, of
Yeah.
him for some reason. But his own individuality. What project, or on the project, going back to Mrs. Hammond? So if that's something you could talk about, I know it's not, you haven't released it yet, so
Right.
I don't know how much you want to
We'll-
put out there. But,
We'll go as far as we should.
all right, well,
Okay.
good. So tell me about Mama Hammond's project, because that is one single.
She was featured, really, she was featured, she was with Anointed Sons of God.
Yeah, oh,
'cause
yeah.
We were after her husband, who was a great mentor of our group, the Anointed Sons of God, Brother Hamp, Deacon Hamp. He was really instrumental of us getting things going and started. He played a great part in that, and this is after he had passed, and we were still kind of like, man, we really gotta push this thing. Now I really got to, carry it out. 'Cause this is what he wanted. And we were driving back from Columbus one day, and we just had some tracks playing with just the background, and she was ad-libbing on it. And I said, wow. And I looked at my wife and said, you hear that? And she said, yeah. And by the time we got back to Cincinnati, I said, man, we got to get her on track with us, And it was just a match made, It was just, it just fitted, It just fit. So she recorded a couple of CDs with us, And after I left the group, she's still traveling somewhere and did different things. And after the group disbanded, after a certain period of time, I think she started doing other projects. But I brought her in on a project of mine for Morning Dove, and then we brought her back in here recently, about a year ago, and we said we want to cut some stuff on her. So that's what we did, and that's all I'm gonna say. But you're gonna see some different sides of her because she is very, very talented and very
versatile.
Very, very versatile with her voice, and you're gonna hear some other sides of some things that we're doing with her, and we're blessed and honored to have her there with us, and she is kind of like the soul of the company when it comes to that music, that portion of it. So just
she is a vocal artist that I could sit and listen to, and not get bored.
I love writing for her, man. It's a blessing,
But she's also a person that if you tell me that I'm on the ticket and I'm following her, we're gonna have to reverse that ticket a little bit.
I know that's
and
right.
You're gonna have to move me.
I know that's right. I've experienced it with her.
Or move me down the ticket further.
I've experienced it with her. I know. I experienced it with her. Powerhouse.
Oh, listen.
Anointed powerhouse.
We were at Allen Temple, and I think it was the 100-man choir.
Okay.
That was there. I think that's what it was. And they were going around with the mic because they were doing. I don't remember what song it was, but they went and gave her the mic. And Lord Jesus, she had the church.
I'm sure she brought it.
It was rocking.
Yeah.
It was rocking.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to hear that she has that she's on the project. I'm really looking forward to hearing it. You mentioned that you and what is it, the Dudleys, your sons, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about. Give us a little bit of taste of what you all are doing on the project. You and the boys.
The Dudleys, okay. we did a commercial for a lot of people. We got a lot of reviews on it on Facebook. We did a commercial for Folgers Coffee, and I don't know. It's just like from there, everybody was like, y'all ought to cut something. Y'all ought to do something. So we cut a song track for the compilation CD, but we really haven't focused on that as much. I've been more so focused on the other artists because these are my sons. I can kind of, I guess, call them up and say, "Hey, man, let's go down the basement. Let's go work on a couple songs, whatever, accessible." And my eldest son, Isaac, he's pretty busy with his career for his acting and his directing and his photography.
And that's who I know. I know Isaac.
Yeah.
Probably better than your other son,
Chris.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And Isaac, that's my cat.
Yeah. So he's pretty busy, but whenever he has time, he'll come help old Pop out. Saying, let's get in the studio and cut something, because a couple people at Morning Dove been on us about, you guys gonna cut something else, and we said we'll eventually get to it, but we really haven't got around.
Haven't gotten
no,
around
we
to
haven't.
It,
Been, in all
Isaac
honesty.
did a great job with CBTC a few years ago when we did Ain't Misbehaving.
Yes.
And
we came to see that.
And I was very proud of the cat
Yeah.
to come in and do what he did and how well he did it. I thought that was great. And I think that's where we really begin to get a relationship, because we spent a lot of time.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
rehearsal, so we spent
Yeah.
a lot of time together.
Yeah.
And I really got a lot of respect for him and his craft, and definitely his work ethics.
Yeah.
And everybody aren't always willing to put in the sweat equity that it takes
Yeah.
to develop a craft. And so sitting there watching him and seeing this young guy, young to me anyway,
Yeah.
putting in that energy and that commitment was really great. How do you balance Morning Dove Records and All in One? How do you balance these two worlds as a pastor, given the amount of time to the label that's needed and to the artist and the projects and all the business in, as well as pastoring a church and your members that you have to be there for, as well as the youth, and I'm putting all these in because these are parts of your world, the youth initiative, and now you're getting ready to deal with the opioid issue, or developing that project, and you're a husband. So how are you managing all of these different things and finding time and energy?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I ain't doing anything. God is
right.
God's got me. You know, if I lean to my own understanding, you know, I I couldn't get. It looked like it way up here if I looked at it from you know me personally, but it's God that's definitely you know got me surrounded with a good group of people. I have like to have a good team. Deacon Charles, Reverend Cook, Big Al, Sion Taylor, you know, my wife, my church. So they make it easy for me to maneuver this. And I've been asked this question before. You said, and I've had somebody even go as far to say, "Man, you make it look so easy." Trust me, it ain't easy.
It ain't easy.
So don't get caught up in what it looks like, because it's not easy. And there's times that I pray a lot too. I pray a lot. And my wife, every time I look, I'm grabbing her because, you know, with two or more touching agree.
Yeah.
So I'm grabbing her hand all the time, praying, you know. People say, well, I don't even know what you're praying about, you know. But I pray a lot, man. That, you know.
It's like that Mary Mary song, huh? It's the God in me. You see
right,
all this and
right,
you go,
right,
but you don't
right.
know what's going on.
I'll be crying it out, praying it out, you know. I'll just keep it 100. I do,
You're
man.
flat on your face. Just
on my
going,
face,
Lord,
you
help
know.
me. You kind of have that Moses Jethro thing going.
Pretty much, yeah. Because the relationship between the two of them, when he instructed him, hey, you know, you can't do it all,
Right.
Moses, and which was good wisdom
Which
he
is
gave
wise,
him.
which
Was
is
very
wise,
wise, right? So yeah, I just allow God to he no, he gives me that cutoff point, or okay, you done went out too far now. It's time to bring it in, and so I mainly listen to God, because like I said, he surrounded me with a good set of people to make it happen, but. If I didn't have those people there, and if I didn't have him spiritually leading me or hearing direction from him, I would look at it and get like, oh, this is too grandiose, this is too big, I can't handle it. But God makes it all possible.
I can do all things
I'm able to do it through him.
through Christ.
You know,
Definitely.
that strengthens me.
So, is your wife on the project?
She's sang background on a few songs on the
All right.
project, you know. Do backing vocals on a few projects. And like I said, really, I didn't get to answer this portion, but this is my life too. This is, you know, this is what I walk and eat and breathe and sleep every day is God's will.
These aren't projects.
No, this is my life.
Right.
This is what I do. This is what God uses me for, commissioned me to do. So that's just, you know, it's that way. But she's a great inspiration, great help, great prayer partner, great partner. Period. You know, keeps me balanced.
Well, look, in the last few minutes, because I believe we're getting close to the wrap up here. What is there something specific? I want to give you a couple minutes just to speak your heart, whether it's to the label or to the ministry or to people who may be listening that may not have yet found their way to Christ or have found their way. You know, sometimes we stumble, and one of, I think, the biggest tricks of the enemy is getting us to believe that if we stumble, it's done. And so some people stumble, and instead of, you know, getting back up, they just stay down because they hear the enemy say, you've blown it. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I know you're a pastor. I know you have a heart for the people. What do you want to say? Just want to give you like 2 minutes. I know I hate to limit you, but 2 minutes. Just speak your heart to the people.
I can never tell it all anyway, but it's just a thing where I say to anyone, don't give up. You must really believe that greater is he is in me than he is in the world. You must really believe that. And regardless of someone say you can't get up, you can't make it, you can get up, you can make it, in spite of what it looks like or seems like, you can go through. You know, you might have to endure some pain, some sleepless nights, but you can get through it. You can get past it. You can get around it. But you got to trust God. And a lot of times we get caught up in, we get caught up on what we can see in the natural eye. But he says that's not having faith when you got to see it in order to believe it. You got to learn it, you got to believe it so you can see it. And I think a lot of us, if we just live by the trust and the faith in God, we'll get where we're trying to go. The Lord came to me in a word just this week, telling me you ask not, you have not because you ask not, you know, and that's why you won't ask, because it seems too big to ask. But don't be afraid. Trust me. You know, I'm big as you can imagine me to be, to hear and answer your prayer. And I've never left you or forsaken you this far. I never will. And you got to really believe that and trust into it. And That's been my motto. And there's been some, don't get me wrong, there's been some hard nights. The enemy try to come up against me, try to attack me, try to distort things, get in people. But I still believe in God, and I still believe in the power of prayer. And people say, I can't pray. Well, you can pray. You can talk to God. If you can pray and you can think, you can talk to yourself, you can talk to God. So it's really about what you want to do. Because, see, God is a movement, not a monument.
All right, I might have to take that one too. You keep going. I'm gonna have a whole book of sermons going.
Listen at you.
But listen again, Pastor Dudley. We want to thank you again for coming out, talking with us, taking out time, coming out here, sharing your vision, sharing the love that God's put on your heart, and reaching out to people. I want to make sure that I mention something. There's an organization that's called Whole Again. Whole Again is ran by Pastor Gregory Chandler. Thing about Whole Again is through the summer months when children are not in school and a lot of children in the community are not having meals. A lot of kids in school, they eat breakfast, they eat lunch. Whole Again is an organization that feeds 2,000 children a day. That's through the different organizations that have partnered with them. If you get a chance, and I'm going to have to look at this. I have the band on my arm, so I'm actually going to look at my arm and read it because I won't remember it. But it's www.whole, that's WHOLE -again.org. Get a chance, go to that website, take a look at that organization. I'm sure it's something that'll touch your heart, and you'll definitely feel that it's awesome and being blessed, and say a prayer for them. Say, look, I'm your host, Pastor Jackie Jackson. Again, thank you for tuning in to Your Faith and Health Community. Until the next time, stay faithful. Try to stay healthy. God bless you.